Hello, it's Mark Littlewood from the Business of Software, and I've got a very, very special red-haired Italian guest with me today. Can you guess who it is yet?
I'm special, all right. My wife says I'm special all the time.
My word, look at that. It's Peldi from Balsamiq. Welcome, Peldi. We'll join you very shortly and talk a little bit about your talk, but just a quick reminder that this is one of a series of hangouts and discussions that we have with previous and future business and software speakers to talk about things that are going on in their business and to ask you if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask of them. So I think the best thing to do to start is to ask Peldi to introduce himself, and I know that's probably one of those very, very unnecessary things, but I guess that's the custom and the practice. So for anyone that doesn't know Peldi, this is Peldi and what he does.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this hangout, and thank you, Mark, for having me here today, and also thank you for inviting me to speak at the conference. I am very nervous about it, but I am also very excited. My name is Peldi Guilizzoni. I go by Peldi because it's shorter and easier to pronounce. And I am a programmer turned entrepreneur. And this is my first and hopefully only entrepreneurial effort. And the company is called Balsamiq, and we build a little tool called Balsamiq Mockups, which is a drawing tool that helps you sketch user interfaces for applications, websites, and whatnot.
Excellent. So I've got a message in. So someone's worked out how to use Q&A. Every time we use Google Hangouts, something changes. So that little button you press to ask a question or something disappears. But James McClaife has come in with a statement rather than a question, which is, hey everyone, Peldi Mark, been looking forward to this. So, but we could, anyone could have said that. James, ask some questions, and we'll try and come back and to answer them over the period of time. So Peldi is a classic entrepreneur. He's running a set out very deliberately to run a one-person operation that he didn't have to work very hard at and could just exist in the Italian countryside and run a little kind of private business that just paid a few bills. That went a bit wrong, didn't it?
Well, that wasn't exactly the plan. I'm not like the Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week. In fact, I think that's toxic, and that has done so much damage to the world.
Thought leaders,
I wanted one company that I could work really, really hard at and learn everything I could, but I wanted to do something so small that I could do it all by myself for a very long time. My heroes are Andy Bryce from Perfect Table Plan, or Patrick McKenzie when he was doing Bingo Card Creator. You know, there's a whole host of people who are able to be a one-man shop or one-woman shop and do everything that it takes and just keep a little lifestyle software business going. That was my goal. That didn't work out because
you failed.
I failed one of the many times that I failed, and that's kind of the topic of my talk this year in Boston. Yeah, that was the first failure, but because of a very lucky, basically I thought that my tool was not going to be very useful to a lot of people, and that was a mistake. It turned out to be extremely useful to an extremely large number of people. And so I couldn't keep up with the demand on my own, and I was forced to hire over and over and over, and change plan over and over and over. So it's a good problem to have, I know. I feel bad complaining about it, but I did wake up one morning thinking, I can't do this. My dream is not, my dream is not applicable anymore. I have to come up with a new dream. I don't know what to do, but I know for sure that I have to hire someone now, today, or I might die.
Yeah. And it's fascinating. I mean, we have a lot of speakers. We don't have a huge number of speakers, but we have a number of speakers that we've had back over a period of years, yourself included. And I think one of the things, apart from your sort of puppyish enthusiasm about everything, which I salute and share that approach to life in general. You've obviously gone on a really interesting journey. You're very open about where you've been, what you've been going through, and people do learn a lot, I think, from that and pick up a lot. You said you'd just been to MicroConf and had a rather backhanded compliment there. Tell me about that.
Somebody said called us vintage. They said, "Oh yeah, how does it go, Balsamiq? Yeah, it's a vintage app." And today you called me a classic guy. So I just turned 40. I'm not that old, people. Although I do feel it. I'm 40. Anyways, no, somebody. I gave a talk that's similar to the one that I'm gonna give in Boston, and somebody said, "Wow, so it's true that you don't know what you're doing." And that's great news, because I also don't know what I'm doing. So if I can be successful being so bad, then maybe I can be successful too. So if you don't know what you're doing, come to Boss, and we'll commiserate together.
You see, I know people that try and use that principle in life, and they kind of work on the principle that Steve Jobs was an absolute bastard. So if they're an absolute bastard, they'll be doing all right as well. But it doesn't always work. Actually, got a question here. Can you see questions, by the way, Peldi?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting one. I almost picked you up on it at the time, but Justin Putney asks, can you say more about why you think the 4-hour work week is toxic?
I mean, I don't know. It feels like, first of all, it's very, 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 very hard to do. Very hard to replace what he does, even though he, of course, that's his job to make it look simple. So follow me, be like me, right? Those things are usually too good to be true. And so is, I think, creating an illusion in a lot of people. The other thing is that really how you want to live your life, right? You know what you could do 4 hours a week? Be a spammer, right?
Yeah.
Just build, the jobs that you can do and they're fully passive, they're not usually improving the world. If something is worth doing, you probably want to do as much as possible of it, right? I feel like you should focus. Listen, the guy wants to go and travel around the world. Fine, go and travel around the world. You know what he wants to do? He wants to do all sorts of different things, and he needs a way to make money out of it. And so what he did, he wrote a book about how he can do all these things, right? That worked for him. So, do what you love. Don't just set up a small company that is, doing boring work, people that you don't really manage because you're traveling around. How is that? How is that ethical? Like, oh, you guys do all the work, I get all the money. It's just, you know what I mean? That's just not my style.
I mean, I think there are so many ways you can cut it. I mean, I have a few issues with it on the grounds that he put a lot more than 4 hours a week into promoting the book, saying you only have to work 4 hours a week. I mean, I would reckon when he was on his promotional tour, he was probably doing 80 hours a week.
What's really good about it is that he's telling Americans especially that you don't have to live to work, right? That it's okay to take vacation. It's okay to have outside, and you don't be defined by work, which is a problem in the US right now. Of course, I live in Italy where work is what you do so that you can live. People don't really care. We have the opposite problem, but
yes, I read a very interesting book about Italians.
It's not all bad. It's just, I think, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. Another question from Bruce Mulligan. Hi, Bruce. Do you begrudge your success, Peldi? On not knowing what you want to do, I think business is just a collection of humans who have no idea what they're doing, pretending they know better than those who are paying for their service. It's been great. It's been beyond my wildest dreams. In fact, I had to come up with new dreams, and I always have to come up with new dreams. But that's like I said, it's a privileged person's problem. I got extremely lucky to achieve product market fit right away with a product that I love working on, and so
So no, definitely, you know, I'm extremely happy about the success. I tend not to dwell on it because it's just, you know, too much. I just I like to focus on the product and my customers and try to improve their lives as much as we can with, you know, saving them time. That's what I like to do, and that's what I like to think about, because I think it's never going to change. It's what keeps me grounded.
Yeah. So
as for businesses, I don't know. I think that's an interesting definition of business. I don't think we pretend to know better than our customers. In fact, we get a bunch of feature requests. Usually the best ideas have come from our community. And we thank everybody during each release note for each bug request, each feature request, bug reports. We always thank the person that reported it, because the credit goes to them.
What was the best feature request that a customer's come up with? Or what's the kind of thing that's in the product now that you think, geez, we'd never have seen it?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Putting someone on the spot.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot. I mean, most of the big things. I mean, when I started, I was against many of the things that have made us super successful, right? I did not want to do a desktop application because I wanted to be alone. So I wanted few high-paying customers. And that's, you know, and I wanted to build a plugin to Atlassian Confluence. That was it, right? And I wanted to charge a lot of money for it and only have a few big enterprises so that I could support them. And immediately, even during the beta, people were like, oh yeah, that's great, but I want the desktop version. I'm like, no, nobody uses desktop software anymore. What are you, crazy? This is 2008. Right? So it took 3 weeks of people just hammering me. And I said, I can't support you because you'll be too many. And they said, don't worry, do it without support. Just write it in the EULA. I'm like, okay. I don't know how much to charge. And one guy said, oh, well, I saw this other guy who's $79. I think you're better. I'm like, all right, that's $79 it is. Right? So that's how you do pricing. Everything comes from the customer. So desktop, and then I didn't want to add any zero interactivity. Didn't want even, and so then I gave in a little bit by adding linking between pages, but we're not doing any more than that. So a bunch of features like that. Usually the feature requests are a little too early for the big ones. They're early. We're usually busy with stuff being broken that we have to fix first. But we get there eventually. Yesterday on the plane, I worked on a feature that I had put in the list on August 8th, 2009. And I just finally did it, and I'm super excited.
Excellent. So conversely, is there something that customers have told you, why are you doing that, why are you doing it, but you've stopped doing? Or are customers just creating a roadmap, a future roadmap kind of block just by bringing
one thing that we did stop doing is to share the roadmap as much as before. And this was because we noticed that if we said something like, okay, we're going to work on this feature, right, that you requested, we don't say when, we just say, yes, it's a good idea, right? And then 2 years later, 3 years later, people, to them, that's the most important thing that we should be working on. Yeah. Because they don't know all the other crap we're dealing with in the product and in the company itself, right? We might be in the middle of a whatever growth phase for the company. And so they come back 2 years later and it's like, you guys suck, you do nothing, you know, this has been here for 3 years. I can't believe you haven't done it yet. It seems so simple, which, by the way, is the best way to offend a programmer. How hard can it be? Right? Those four words are how you try, you smoke and yeah.
It's the best way to offend anyone, isn't it, actually? It's just a kind of... It's funny, so when you're kind of great, you mentioned Andy Bryce, who came to Business and Software Europe, who's an absolute gentleman. I mean, he seems completely focused on the most important thing to him is to be independent.
Yeah, yeah.
But you also mentioned Patrick, and I guess you saw Rob Walling, who, I mean, again, you know, single founder, very focused on, being his own person. But Patrick and Rob have both changed. I mean, Rob's got, what, 15, 20 people working in
No,
the
I don't think he's at
company
that
now?
time yet. But yeah, he like we all are.
He's had
We're
to
all
change.
changing. He now has a very successful email marketing campaign product called Drip, which I encourage
Get
everybody
Drip.
to try. That's going really well, and he had that same problem that I had, which I can't do it by myself anymore.
Yeah. Do you think there's, and Patrick's joined a startup Starfighter as well, and sold down all his independent projects and things. Do you think it comes to everybody, or is there a romantic ideal that is just not achievable if you're successful in being a single founder?
I mean, after a while, if you have too many customers and want to provide support, it's going to cost you. And outsourcing support is a very dangerous thing, because support is how we get the feature requests. Support is how we get the bug reports first, right? So you have to, I still look at every forum post as it comes in, because you have to be in touch with your community. Otherwise, you're not going to stay successful. And so that takes people. And then after you get to a certain point, I managed to take mockups, to support mockups up to about 3,000 customers.
Right.
And then it just was too much. It wasn't fun anymore. So it depends. If you're doing if they let me do what I wanted to do, which was only plug it and very expensive, then it's fine. I mean, I know some people that don't do any, outsource completely all of the sales.
Yeah.
The reseller. That has some drawbacks, but it also has great benefits if you want to stay small. Just let them deal with invoices, purchase orders, etc. They get a cut, but that's okay, right? Or if you're building apps that are sold on marketplaces, like iOS apps, right? There's a ton of single person companies building those kind of apps, because all that stuff is outsourced, and Apple is loving it, taking 30%, but the relationship with customers is still not the same. You don't even know. You just get the zip code of this customer. You don't even know who they are, and you can't reply to the reviews. So that applies to a lot of games, etc. That's fine, but some other software that's maybe a little more involved, that might not be the best way to go.
Yeah.
And so, but I think also after a while, being a solo founder, after 5-6 years, you've probably learned enough. Maybe you want some company. Maybe you want another challenge. Want to jump on to the next lily pad, see what's next.
Interesting. So do you think people want to be, and this is delving into the dark recesses of some people's brains, I guess, but do people want to be single founders because they're afraid of running their own business? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
they need the confidence.
The reason I wanted to go at it alone were two. One was because I wanted the bug to stop with me for every single thing, because I wanted to learn every single thing. I was very curious about how do you market, price, support, do the legal stuff, price, all that stuff for software. I want to know it all. Being a programmer, I only knew the programming part, and I was curious to see everything else. So by being a solo founder, that's what you get. You have to deal with everything, right? But the other reason is that I knew for sure that 90% of businesses fail, and mine was going to fail too, and so I didn't want to have to drag anybody with me.
Oh, you're all hurt. So one of the things I think you said you were going to talk about, and I don't know whether we're still on the okay to talk about this, was that you had an acquisition offer from the company very early on that you turned down. And that was probably at the same time that you were having a huge amount of inbound interest from VCs and things, because you were, and still are to a to a degree, but you're sort of you're a very well respected company. What would have happened, do you think, to the business if either you'd been sold or you'd taken venture capital 3-4 years ago? Would you be significantly bigger now? Would you still be involved?
Who knows? I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know. I think it would have been riskier than it was. It would have probably been more stressful for me than it has been, because in both of these options, the expectations would have grown 10x, and so I would have gone back to having a boss, whether it's the boss or the VC, the board of directors, and so I might have been fired by now.
Possible. So a good friend of mine, actually, a guy called Dwayne Jackson, who's an has a fantastic story. He spoke at Business Software Europe. He was brought up in a children's home and ended up smuggling some ecstasy to America. And he was caught in Miami airport with 7,500 tabs of ecstasy in his hand luggage. So just a few, but it's not like it was class A. Oh, it is. So he did time, and he came out. He set up an accounting business, basically a SaaS business to help small businesses do accounts, which he sold. And then after he sold it, predictably hated being involved in the company because he was being asked to do things that he considered sort of stupid or pointless or trivial or whatever it is. And he was on a 2-year earnout. But do you know how he got himself out of it? He just went to his boss one day and said, I haven't got too much to do, but I'm thinking of setting up an employee union. Is that okay? It was his last day at the company.
Nice.
It's the one thing you can't, as an employer, do anything about. If someone says they're going to set up a union. So he'd done his research. And after a few months, he was like, right, this is the killer.
I write that down.
I can see you being very active in some large corporate at some point. Excellent. So you've got another question coming in here, which I think is sort of related a little bit to this, and probably a little bit to boss and all sorts of things. But at the top is lonely. Would you take anyone on now as a partner? I'm assuming there's two angles there. Do you need a partner at the moment in your current business? Probably not. But if you were going to start again, would you take a partner on?
Good question. So for the current business, I don't know. I should ask my employees if we need a partner of some sort. But I haven't even crossed my mind at the moment. The Balsamiq, the way we call the Balsamiq people, they're fantastic. Now, just like the customers have ideas for the product, the employees are where all the good ideas come for the company itself, right? And so I definitely feel surrounded by a fantastic group, and so I don't feel that lonely anymore. If I were to start again, another thought that never crosses my mind, I hope that never has to happen. So who knows? It's nice to have I'm a only child, so just entering a partnership for a new company, it is kind of like either married someone or having a brother or a sister, and I don't know if I would do very well because I don't have much experience with that.
I don't know. I mean, I've interacted with you. I think you're a pretty good, as long as you're in charge, you're a pretty good sharer.
There we go. That's the little thing.
Well, I mean, by that, I mean, if you were in a situation where, you were going to share a an apple or something with your partner, you would want to cut it, and if it was, if it wasn't quite 50-50, you wouldn't take the bigger piece, you'd take the smaller piece.
I think
but you'd certainly be in charge, right?
No, I think that it's a matter of, I think it's a lot more efficient if you're, just thinking and getting feedback, but not having. But it's also, I don't know. It's also your motivation, right? Like I said, my motivation was I want to learn everything. I don't want to offload anything, and so that rules out the co-founder. The next business, who knows? Hopefully, again, it will never happen.
Interesting. Oh, here's a backhanded compliment. So there you go, Bruce. Thank you for that question. A product question. By the way, I love Balsamiq. Oh, there's something bad coming. Will there be any improvements in the mobile iOS tool set?
Yeah, the tool, we're working on revamping all of the mobile controls right now. Mike is doing all the research to try and sort of revamp the iOS. And also, we've heard about this thing called Android that just came out. And so we thought maybe we would do some Android controls as well.
Is that like an Apple thing? Is that the iAndroid?
No, I don't know. It's some startup. But no, so we've had a community-generated Android UI tool set, but there's been so much diversification in the UI even. Now with material design, we can finally say, okay, if Google says to use this, probably people will use this, and so we can bring it into the product as well. So we're definitely, we just hired a person focused on improving controls. And so already we've improved quite a bit, but this mobile revamp is in the works right now. Can't promise when we'll be done with it, but it's finally time to look at it right now.
Interesting. So there is work on there is life outside Apple, which is encouraging to hear. It's encouraging to hear. So there's some quite interesting questions and comments coming in here. Here we go. Sean Anderson. Hi, Sean. Haven't seen you for ages. We were going to see him in Europe, and he couldn't make it and ended up donating some tickets to some scholars, which was extremely kind of him. Peldi, I've heard some bosses refer to low-cost software as low-value software. Since your software is quite low in price, do you agree with the statement that Balsamiq produces low-value software?
Absolutely not. I don't know where you heard that, but I completely disagree. Yesterday, I met someone who said, "Oh, Balsamiq, thank you. You've made me thousands and thousands of dollars." Right? That's value right there.
Yeah.
It's not true. A lot of software is, affordable because it's easier now because of a lot of reasons, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. Some of the text editors, for instance, a lot of them are free and they're amazing, but even the ones that are paid usually are not very expensive, and we live in them, right? So clearly provide plenty of value.
Yeah, I think, if you're going to think about value and how that's split, I think you could put something like Candy Crush into low value. Or, it's value to who? It's value to the user, is it value to...
Right.
If you're playing Candy Crush or going on Twitter, those are two companies competing with each other because they're competing for that time when you go off to the restroom or whatever it is. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So have you heard of a guy called Dave Collins, by the way?
Oh, yes.
He's asked a very strange question. I don't know whether he's put you up or you've put him up for this, but he says a lot of entrepreneurs don't look after themselves properly. We take on too much and we're deranged. At around 40 plus, the body and mind starts catching up. Hey, Peldi. How do you avoid this without joining a gym, doing more exercise, and eating, drinking less?
Wait, that's exactly the answer, right? Join a gym, do more exercise, and eat and drink less? No, but it's
like the way he answered his own question.
yeah. It's true for sure, and reading, meditation, yoga. You should add those to the list as well. That helps.
How it's made used to
That
be
we
your
take
thing.
on
I
too
remember
much.
your
What?
how it's made. I remember your first talk was
Definitely. That
that
will
was
put you
your
to sleep in no time.
late night relaxation thing.
Now I have another one called Insight Timer. It's a little free app, and it's pretty ugly, but it has these guided meditations. My friend Will told me about it. And so there's like this 5-minute kind of podcast meditation, and they will put you to sleep like there's no tomorrow. It's super awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So
are you using these for the right things? Because it sounds like these things are being packaged and sold as motivational.
No, but I do it also when I'm stressed out. I did it before giving the talk at MicroConf, and it helps calm the mind. But yeah, you got to take care of yourself for sure, or your body will tell you in different ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, I had no idea. I've always thought of you as ageless, but you just hit a milestone, which is pretty. That's a big one. It's a big 4-0. So what's changed?
I'm finally 40. I've been feeling old for a long time. Now I can justify my little belly, justify my big car that I bought last year. I play tennis now because I know that there's people in their 80s and 90s that play tennis. I think that sports, you start thinking back a little bit, which is weird for me because I've always been very future centric.
Yeah,
it's weird. Oh
wow. So what would you have told your 20-year-old self?
Oh God, Mark, this is an impossible question. I don't know. Have fun. Have more fun.
That's fair. So a couple of things. Have you considered moving to a subscription or upgrade licensing scheme to keep recurring revenue stream coming in?
Yeah, well, we've had a web app since 2011, and that's going extremely well, and that's amazing. The subscription, I don't know which way, but anyway, it's going up to the right. It always grows. It only, yeah, that's good.
That's it, like this, yeah.
So it just grows. It just grows. It's amazing.
I've only got 2 props for this particular Hangout, but it's good to be able to use one.
Yes. So we've had subscription for a while, and it's gradually a bigger and bigger part of our revenue, and so we love that. For desktop, with version 3, we switched to a minor updates only are free. When we're at version 3, when we go version 4, in a couple of years, you'll have to buy again. Because that will probably be native, and you'll probably buy from the App Store, so you will have to buy it again anyways. So now we're switching to a model where it's not free forever. It's just every couple of 2-3 years you get
right. Interesting. And how has that transition been? Have your customers reacted positively?
No one noticed. One guy noticed.
And the guy asking the questions.
Yeah, and mostly we get emails like, "Wait a minute, you did yet another giant release, and you're giving that to me for free again? Are you nuts?" We got a bunch of those emails. People are like, "I'm buying a new copy just to give away because it's not right that I gave you $79 in 2008, and you've been working, and you've been giving me free updates until now." So most people
still been upgrading people since that. That is quite amazing.
Yeah, it's quite stupid, is what it is. So we're changing it. We're changing it now. We've changed it now to something that is a little more in line with the rest of the business. People expect it to be that way, and so we'll do it that way.
Excellent. So we go. I think Des Trainer. I think we've kind of covered those. So yeah, we've got some good questions in. Tell me a little bit about business software and some of the themes of the talk. I know we've kind of touched on it, but it's quite, in a sense, it's quite a retrospective for something that's a work in progress.
Yeah, mostly, and this is not going to sound good for mostly I say, the last time I spoke in 2012, yeah, well, that was kind of crap. So then, in a few years, if you decide to invite me again, I'll say that the 2015 talk was crap. So, no, but basically,
anyway, it wasn't crap in terms of how it was compared to 2012, but world moves on, and
that's what basically what it is. It's looking back from 2007 to today, and telling people how I had a plan and then it didn't work out. And then I had to come up with another plan, and that didn't work out. And so I think we're on plan number 5 or 6 right now. And I feel there's another one coming. It's kind of like parenting, especially with small children, where you don't know what you're doing. It's a total mess, but then you think you're getting the hang of it, and that's when they completely change, right?
Totally.
And you're like, right? So that's been that way, and it still is, and maybe it will be forever. And maybe that's what we should learn to appreciate, that we have something to work on instead of something that goes south. So that's mostly what it is. Talking about the different plans and the pain points along the way.
And are you going to be able to talk a little bit about the acquisition that didn't
happen? Yeah, I'll tell the story. I got permission, but you'll have to come to Boston too.
I'll have some very dramatic cameras off now, please. Fantastic. So we're going to wrap up fairly shortly. So if anyone's got any other last-minute questions they want to throw in, do get them in now. Are there any speakers you're particularly excited about seeing, listening to, meeting?
Quite a few. I want to go back. I've been pretty busy, so I haven't sat down during the weekend to look at everybody's talk, etc. But I'm really excited to hear my friend and mentor Sarah Allen, who's going to speak. She is a volcano of ideas and is able to execute on so many ideas at the same time.
That lady is a phenomenon.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't wait to say what she's going to talk about.
She was over in the UK, so I said, come up to Cambridge, and I stuck her in a room with the Red Gators, and they had a really nice time, I think, and she stayed with us a couple of nights.
Oh, cool.
And she'd come over from California, so she was jet lagged, but she was working pretty much all day. We gave her a space to hang out, and then, it kind of come 7 o'clock, it's, let's go. So we'd go and have some dinner. We would get home at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then she'd be on a laptop, and then she'd be on conference calls until about 1.
In California, right?
Yeah, California, 1 in the morning. I mean, like both night, and then just full on.
Yeah.
And then, you wake up in the morning and it's 5:30, and you hear this tap. It's like, oh my God! It's like this house has got too much productivity in it. managed to kind of average it out over the summer, but no, we're really excited about having you over, seeing all the stuff you've learned, and just having you around. Really, you've become one of those sort of. We were going through some of the old pictures of Boss, and you've got a great T-shirt with "Life's Too Short for Sucky Software" or something, which is one of those great kind of inspiring images. And I hope you'll be amused and entertained by the T-shirt design this year.
Oh, great! Can't wait.
All I'm saying is unicorns.
Oh, excellent.
Don't exist. Right, so here we go. We've got one more. Oh, that's quite a good one to finish with. So here you go. One last question.
Okay.
There's a lot of added responsibility, as you mentioned, to having employees. Does that make you worry more about the continued success of the business? And what do you do to make the business market position more defensible?
Definitely going from
It's really
0
serious.
to 1 employee is extremely scary, because now it's not just your family that that the business has to feed, but it's 2, and then 2 to 3 gets a little easier. 3 to 4. After a while, you have enough cash in the bank. You have it gets pretty predictable, a little more predictable, and this is after years, at least in our case.
Yeah.
And so then, you're pretty confident you're going to be able to make payroll, and so then it's not as scary after a while. But at the beginning, it's definitely a huge jump. And usually people wait too long. Like I waited too long until I couldn't stand it anymore. And then what do you do to make the business market proposition more defensible? I don't know. I'm not very good at this stuff.
You missed that class in your MBA school or something?
Zero MBA, but basically, from day one, we've said we compete on usability and customer service. Right? We're going to be the easiest product to use that makes you the most powerful, and we're going to support it the best. And it's not just support in the sense of phone support or forums, but it's also our website is going to be clear, the documents are going to be clear. Basically, I think that as long as we care the most for our customer success, and we really care, genuinely care, that's the best we can do. If somebody else comes out and they have better support and better usability, well, they deserve to win, right?
Wow.
So continue doing what we've been doing, but it's not easy to do, because there's the company changes, and the community changes, and the marketplace the market changes, and so you can't do support the same way when you're 1, and when you're 10, you have to start putting some process in place to try and continue doing it high quality, but it's not the same thing. So it's work, even though it sounds like we're not changing anything, but it's work even to continue.
It becomes work just to stay still after a while.
Well, not stay still, but continue having that level of quality.
Excellent. Okie doke. Well, look, I really look forward to seeing you. Do you know when you're coming out? Are you out on the Saturday? Sunday, right? Okay, great. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you then. Yeah, it's going to be a great. I mean, I think it's always really hard to tell, but I'm really, really pleased with the kind of range of speakers we've got, just in terms of the subject matters and some of the kind of issues and challenges that people are talking about. A lot of them are really about going beyond that startup point, which is critical in any business. But as speakers like you're running a business that's not 1 person anymore. It's 20, and your challenges change, and that's something that we've been really quite focused on drawing out this year. So I think I'm really looking forward to people like Art Papas, for example. I don't know if you've come across Art, but tech guy running a company called Bullhorn, which has been focused on CRM for the recruitment industry, so don't hold that against him. But he's a techie guy who's now CEO of a 500 and something person business. So
can't wait to meet him.
It's really fascinating to see what people have done to move that stuff through. So no, we're really excited. It's going to be, well, it's less than 3 weeks, and it will be just about over, which really makes me quite sad. So if we think about it as being just over 2 weeks, it'll all be happening. That's going to make us all glad. Peldi, thank you so much. Thank you very much to everybody that has joined us. Got any other questions, follow up, use the hashtag BOSS2015, or drop me an email. I'll pass them along, and I'm sure Peldi will come back to you.
Sure.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Very nice to see you, and see you soon in the flesh.